Welcome to TechGeek webinars, our endeavor to empower TechGeeks. TechGeek.com believes that sharing of knowledge is a key of enhancing our performances and for our growth as professionals. With this principle in mind, TechGeek has initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give a crisp insight of various domains. This December, TechGeek.com is conducting webinar series on software project management. Today's session is the fourth in the series. We are delighted to have Mr. Ajay Rawat with us today. Mr. Rawat is a Vice President at Cornos Solution India Private Limited. He is a veteran IT professional with more than 3 decades experience in industry related to various facets of industry ranging from technology introduction, promotion, development, standardization, international collaboration, etc. Mr. Rawat has extensive experience in project and program management and optimization tools and techniques managing multi-geographical teams in distributed development environments, delivering world's largest and most popular hiring solution in SaaS model. Mr. Ajay Rawat is an avid speaker in public forums, and based on his knowledge, enthusiasm and experience, he is eminently qualified to speak to us today about trends in project management and its future. Gentlemen, this presentation will continue for 45 minutes and we will take your questions after the presentation. In the meanwhile, you can post your queries through the chat pane available in the webinar software. We will also be asking few quiz questions related to the today's topic. Please post your answers on techgeek.com only. Exciting gifts would be given to the participants who give the best answer to the questions. Without further ado, I introduce you to the guest speaker, Mr. Ajay Rawat.
Thank you so much for kind words and introducing me. My full name is Ajay Singh Rawat, and as I mentioned, I am Vice President in Cornos Solutions India Private Limited, based in Noida. It's a great pleasure for me to talk to you today about trends in project management and its future. I'm glad that I'm having an opportunity through TechGeek to share my experience with all of you, and I hope I'm able to give you a good look into the current practices and the trends that are emerging out of it and what is likely to be in future for us. My idea is basically to have a look at the current practices, current scenario of project management landscape in the light of emerging requirements, emerging methodologies and industry needs. So let us see what I have kept for the agenda today. Basically, I'm going to touch upon these points which will be covered in the scope of project management, who are the stakeholders in project management and what are their requirements, is it in sync with new development environment, how to make project management most effective, key questions for project management in current scenarios. So while going through these points, I'll touch upon the current practices, various processes and systems being followed, and how they are catering to the requirements of the development world, software development world, and whether we need to have a relook at those practices, whether we need a change there, whether they are fulfilling our requirements, and what all is there. So let us start one by one. I'll try to cover all these points as quickly as possible so that we have made some time towards the end for question answer session. I also believe that all of you have somewhat little or more experience in project management, and therefore I don't really need to touch upon the very basics of the project management. So my whole talk will be focused on practicing project managers, people who are involved in the current ongoing projects, people who have had a lot of experience in the working on the projects, and who are really aware of the problems that they face in projects and the solutions that they have come up in their own experience. So let us go through these one by one. So first of all, the scope. What is the scope of project management? I think most of you will feel that this is a very mundane question and does it really require to be looked into? But the thing is that until unless we are clear that what is scope is, basically we are attaching to the project management activity, we will not really be able to appreciate the full span of its affect, full span of its activities, full span of its impact on the organizations, on people, on industry, and everything. So we need to look at the scope. And the first thing that comes when you talk about the scope is when does it start and finish? So really, what is the lifespan of a project? Typically, projects are supposed to be starting when some contract has been entered into, some activity has been decided upon, some goals have been set, and then the activity starts that, okay, let us put together the, let us initiate the project, let us start planning, use our estimation techniques, put together a plan, a schedule, and start monitoring that. But that is where I personally feel that is where actually we are constraining the project manager as such, we are constraining the team which is involved in that project, because there are already certain constraints put around the project management. The constraints are that most of the time the scope of the activity, scope of the project itself has already been decided, the time span has already been decided, and most often than not, the resources have also been more or less decided. So the project management starts with that constraint to fit in all of these into given span of time, with given resources, with given expenditure, or whatever we call. So there's need to look at it that really when it should be starting. To my mind, project management should be in touch with the negotiations going on and should have a say even before the project is launched, because otherwise these constraints cannot be overcome. So who is it meant for? And the question comes, okay, project management is there, we want to do project management, what is it meant for? Who is really going to be benefited by it? Who really needs it? And there again, the question is answered by different people in different manner. Some would say this is meant for the organization, so that the organization can deliver the project in given cost and time schedules. Somebody would say, no, it is meant for the customer, so that we can assure the customer that, okay, the whole project will get delivered within such and such time. But then there are other aspects also attached to it, which are normally not in the forefront, but are impacted by the whole thing. First of all, why do organizations put those constraints? As I said in the beginning, that for start of the phase, there are already constraints on the project management. Those constraints are because there are other stakeholders in the whole project associated. Ultimately, the organization, the company wants to make profit out of it. So the finance department is a stakeholder in that. We want to, the management top management is a stakeholder in that. The customer, of course, remains a stakeholder in that. The customer facing team is a stakeholder in that. Sales marketing is a stakeholder in that. And who is actually neglected is the team member in the project team, who is also a stakeholder, but I don't think anybody thinks about that poor guy, that whether the project management is really for his benefit or not. So we need to keep that in mind, that okay, when we are trying to put together a plan, we are trying to manage a project, we must keep in mind the people who are actually the players who are going to deliver the project, which generally are counted as a resource, as bodies, and assigned to different tasks with given time schedule, and they are expected to function like machines, which is really wrong. Wrong because if you see the current development methodologies, the way project management has been shifting continuously, the shift has been from treating people rather than resources as human beings, as intelligent people, as intelligent minds, as intelligent contributors. And there is continuously a shift towards giving more, empowering them more and more. We'll see that going forward. Let me first finish this school part. Okay, so who all are involved in its process? You ask anybody, and generally the response will be maybe the sales people, the customer, the business analyst who is getting you the requirement, the the project manager himself, and maybe somebody who provides the resources, does the resource allocation, somebody who is really overseeing the whole budget allocation for this, and and maybe some other managerial heads in that, depending upon the size of the organization or the expense of the project or the size of the project and all. So again, who is really neglected is the team itself. No, the team, nobody really bothers about that what team is going to be there as part of this project. Typically the projects managers will get, okay, how many heads you need, how many resources you need, for how much of time, what kind of skill sets and things like that. So again, the team members are generally treated as objects, not as individuals, not as human beings, not as individual contributors and all that, which really impacts the projects. You'll see that going forward. And what are the expectations from the project management? Right, okay, everybody says that yes, project management is to deliver what is expected within given time and cost. So that is the expectation. And who is going to fulfill that expectations? Can the project management fulfill that expectation itself? No. Project management is only a mechanism to monitor whether the expectation will be delivered or not. The project management, as it is practiced in most of the organizations, is only focused on, okay, whether the task got done, whether the milestones were achieved, whether such and such progress has been done, whether such and such deliverables have been made in time. So that is not the end of it. So expectations also, because if you look at it, the whole focus about the project management is so restrictive, focused at only specific of what is being done, what is to be delivered, what is the time available, who are the players involved in that. That's it. And whether we are making, end of the day, whether we are making profit out of it or not. And that really actually takes away most of the benefits that the organization should be drawing out of it, the team should be drawing out of it, and the individual should be drawing out of it. So how does it deliver on expectation is mostly the mechanical fashion. It is not really a human collaborative environment where people are coming together and enjoying the whole exercise of collaborating with each other, contributing and bringing out something which is a result of the collective experience, collective knowledge, and collective effort. So the scope, that shows that the scope actually, when we are mostly talking about the project management, we are not really taking the whole spectrum of the activities into the focus, because we are restricting the scope. We need to look at all the stakeholders at that, attach due importance to them, involve them in the decision making, empower them for full participation in that project, so that we get maximum out of it. So when we say involve everybody who has a stake in that, so who are the stakeholders? The stakeholders, as I said in the beginning, typically are considered customer as a stakeholder, the project manager himself, the management, the customer facing team, and the top management. But are all of them involved and affected by it? So when we talk of involvement part of it, actually we find that involvement of top management is minimal. All the concern that top management has is that, okay, they should be getting a progress report on daily basis or whatever periodicity at every milestone, and just to ensure that yes, everything is on schedule. But is that all? I think the more of their involvement is required, because until unless the top management takes interest in the whole exercise, the players in that exercise, the players in that game cannot really enjoy playing, because for them, otherwise they don't get the due importance attached to their activity. They don't see the importance being attached to the project itself. And therefore their personal zeal, their personal involvement also reduces. their sense of belongingness to that whole game reduces, which actually impacts the delivery, impacts the quality, impacts the whole project itself. And who all are having interest in it. So interest, typically when we think of interest, we feel that, okay, the main interest is of the management, sales, and the customer. But that's not true. If you look at it actually, until unless the key players in that project are interested in it, they really can't be doing as good a job as expected from them. See, it is like this, that okay, you own a, say for example, own a cricket team, and the team is sent out to play different matches, and the owners of the team are just sitting in the back room in the club's offices and just looking at the results and counting that whether they won or lost and whether they made profit out of the tickets or not. It's just not so, because then the players will not have that sense of belongingness, that they will not get that pride after it that okay, they won the match. So the involvement of that involvement is required, and we have seen that in our IPL matches and other places. So it is just like that. So, and what are the expectations of the stakeholders? It's just opposite actually. The stakeholders expect, the stakeholders means, I mean, if you talk about the top management, they expect that every individual in the project will be putting in his best and deliver everything perfect in time, even before time. How can that happen? How can that happen until unless that individual also gets that sense of belongingness, until unless that individual also feels the pride of being involved in it, until unless that individual feels that whatever is being done by him is really looked upon and appreciated by everybody around him. So the expectations are actually, if you look at the involvement and the expectation, they are poles apart. I'm sorry, I just got a message that I was ignoring. Okay. So I come back to the stakeholders topic, and how does it cater to their expectations? So how is the project management catering to their expectations? Project management is trying to cater to the expectations in a very, very objective manner, I would say, yes, because they are only looking at the resource utilization, at the each resources task completion, looking at the progress towards the milestone, looking at the milestone achievements and things like that. Nobody is really concerned whether if an individual is faltering, if a milestone is getting missed, there could be actually some critical issues involved in that, because that comes down on the shoulder of the project manager and further trickles down to the team lead or maybe even to the individual that why this could not be done, why is this getting delayed. It gets delayed because the individual, first of all, he is not able to put his heart and soul in the task. He is also doing it in a mechanical fashion. Okay, this has been assigned, this has to be done. Okay, let us do cut and finish it. Finish it as quickly as possible. If I'm doing coding, I finish my coding, pass it on to testing, let them see whether it is good or bad. If they come back with some bugs, I'll fix it. That doesn't take us anywhere. That really, I mean, that is not the way you can build quality. You know that. So how can it cater to those expectations which are goes apart from the kind of environment required for it? So definitely, is there scope for improvement for it? Improvement? Yeah, definitely it is there. There's a lot of scope for improvement because stakeholders' interest and involvement in the whole project can really bring wonders. Bring wonders in the sense that it can really improve the quality, it can improve the efficiency, it can do wonders for the project delivery. But this is the part which is most neglected. So we come to the next thing related to the project management, which is what is the environment in which the project management is being done? What is the kind of environment available? And when I say about environment, it includes the organization's philosophy, the organization's full approach towards the project deliveries, organization's philosophy towards, first of all, entering into any kind of contract which which make the beginning of the project. And if you look at it, that the question comes that does it have any bearing on the systems and processes in place? Do we really bother when we are putting together a project plan that what kind of methodology is going to be used and whether that methodology for development is really ideally suited for this project? It may be considered at times because of certain compulsions, I would say, not because of the options being available. Typically the compulsion comes from, nowadays I have seen the compulsion comes from the customer itself. Customer is concerned about deliveries, customer is concerned about the timelines, customers want to be reassured during the whole project lifetime. So typically customers are enforcing that, okay, you need to follow the iterative method, or you need to follow the agile method, or you need to build in a system in which we can have a look at the progress of the project from time to time, so that the customer is reassured from time to time that yes, project is progressing well. And that is, I think, one of the reasons that why the waterfall is under that bed. So, but I mean, if customer was not forcing, would an organization really consider evaluating a methodology for delivering a project? I don't think so. I don't think that the organizations are as yet so enlightened that given a project they will start from scratch and starting whether agile is the best way or iterative is the best way or a spiral method or whatever methodology they want to use, whether that is appropriate. So, and irrespective of what methodology is to be used, typically they will still have a project plan in place in which, again, the milestone, the task, the resource allocation will be projected. That is not the right way. People who have started practicing Agile and Scrum, they would know that Scrum puts all the freedom in the hands of the team to decide the schedule, the way they want to deliver, the freedom to pick and choose, and the freedom, the biggest freedom to make commitment and meet the challenges, set the challenge for themselves, set the goals for themselves, and then meet them. That is what actually brings in the biggest sense of belongingness, the biggest sense of commitment, and biggest sense of achievement when they deliver on that, which really enthuses the whole team and further energizes them and has them improve on their performance sprint after sprint. So if that is so, does it impact the system and processes? Well, it does not impact in the sense that it doesn't become the change agent, which actually it should be. Project management should be the change agent for the whole system and methodologies and processes being used for that project delivery. But it doesn't happen. It happens otherwise. The project management ensures that the same, whatever was the most comfortable mode for delivery and most experienced mode or most traditional way of which most used method continues to be used, and teams, so that they feel that there's no disturbance in between, there's no assurance that yes, things will get done in such a fashion, there are no surprises, and that's what they want to do. So what is the net result? Net result is that project after project, the teams, the organization and the teams become kind of more of mechanical workforces which are given repetitive same kind of activities, same kind of tasks, same kind of milestones and deliveries. And for them, there may be change in the project scope, project title, project area, domain, but ultimately the activity remains the same, which really kills the whole enthusiasm, which takes away the whole pleasure, as I said, of doing something collectively in a teamwork. So how does that affect stakeholders and organizations? Well, you can understand and appreciate that if that is the way, first thing, people will start losing interest. People will start losing interest, and definitely that will result in attrition. People will feel that they don't have any scope for their own personal growth in the sense of in professional sense. They may still be getting promoted from developer to team lead to blah blah blah, but then what is actually that they are learning? There'll be time in their stay in their during the project when it will stack them back that, oh, what am I doing? Time and again, same kind of task, same kind of activity, same kind of process, same kind of thing. I'm repeatedly doing that. Somebody else decides a goal for me, I try to achieve it and then claim my whatever bonus or increment or whatever you call it. But then what is it that was the learning in the process? I think nothing, because the individual doesn't get an opportunity to explore his own potential. The individual doesn't get an opportunity to really think of what all can be achieved, what all can be done, where he can stretch himself, he doesn't even get an opportunity to try his hand in an area which he has never entered, although he may feel confident of doing that. So it does affect the stakeholders and organizations. People will do that mechanical kind of work for a certain period of time, but eventually they will start looking elsewhere. So what is required? The requirement is that the whole environment needs to be improved for project management. The whole environment in which the project is conceived, in which the project is developed, in which the project is delivered, needs to be revitalized. That needs to be looked at from a perspective that fulfills not only the external stakeholders' expectations, but fulfills the actual individual players' expectation also. So that is what I think is most required. So what are the results out of all these kind of circumstances, the kind of environment, the kind of constraints, the kind of project management being done? So results, when we talk of results, what are the outcomes? Does it meet first of all, does it meet the expectation of all the stakeholders all the time? Well, I agree that it does meet expectation of the stakeholders sometimes or initially, but I can, based on my personal experience, I can assure everybody, I can guarantee that this fulfillment of expectation, this return on effort will continuously decrease. And that is why I am asking the question whether expectations of all stakeholders are fulfilled all the time. For fulfilling it all the time, you need to infuse something new, something interesting, something which will keep the people going at their 100%. So that is what will be missing and it will not happen. The other aspect of this is that are the expectations also consistent? Unfortunately, expectations will go on increasing. Every time the management will expect that, oh, we did this project and this cost and this time frame, why can't we improve upon it? Now the team is experienced, oh, we have done this in this domain earlier, why can't we do better this time? Because eventually everybody is driven by the profit margin. So how do you increase profit margin? Actually, you want to reduce the effort, you want to reduce the time involved, you want to reduce the cost and make more profit out of it. So on one hand, expectations are increasing, and on the other hand, interest of individuals is decreasing. Because for them it is a repetitive thing. Because of the same repetitive process, one set of stakeholders thinks that every time it is repeated, it can be done more efficiently, in a better way, in a faster way. On the other hand, the other set of stakeholders who are actually the internal stakeholders, who are actually the player in the game, they find it repetitive, boring, not really exciting anymore for them. And so every time it gets repeated, it's done more half-heartedly. So that mismatch is there. So is it sufficient? And then the question comes that, is it sufficient to meet the expectations? Are we really looking for the project, the expectation from that project, the result out of that project is the end of the thing. No, it cannot be. It cannot be. How it can be? Because I'm not had that team. I'm not keeping the team just for one project. I want that team to be used for next project, next project, next project, for a number of projects. I want that team to continuously improve upon their delivery. So for me, for one set of stakeholders, it is not sufficient that the expectations are met. That is sufficient. Although they, at the same time, they are not putting in any effort, putting in any investment to ensure that it really happens. So what are the deliverables and how important are those for this set of stakeholders? It is, as I said, they just want that it should be done more efficiently in a better way, in a lesser time, with lesser cost and all. But we forget, and unfortunately, yes, project management also doesn't put too much of emphasis on that. We forget that the deliverable should also be addressing something for the individual stakeholders, individual players. So what is, I mean, just think of it that a project was done, delivered in time, company got good profit out of it and everything, but a team member, for example, a developer in that project team, what does he get out of this project? His salary during the project period, maybe a little bonus at the end of the project. But is that sufficient for him? Is that all he was expecting? He might have expected, apparently, for that project, something like that, that okay, end of this project we'll get good bonus and it will be rewarding, I'll have more money in hand and things like that. But what happens at the end of the year, or end of couple of years, 3 years down the line? The guy will definitely start thinking, what does he gain out of working in this company, out of having worked in so many projects? Project management never thinks about that. And that is what really eventually makes the projects less profitable, more dragged around, reduced in quality, and things all blah blah blah. Because that individual contributor actually is the pivot around whom the whole project is evolving, who is the key to fulfillment of the expectations, and he is the one who is getting neglected. So is there any gap, and how do we fulfill that gap? So that is the gap actually, and we need to fulfill that. We can fulfill that by various means. As I mentioned, we need to start looking at the project from the perspective of those stakeholders also. We need to start looking at how we can keep that individual contributor interested, how it can be rewarding for that individual contributor in a professional manner, and what is it that he gets out of this whole exercise of project deliveries. So the key questions that come up based on these discussions are that what is the intent and purpose of the project management? Let us be clear about that. Why do we want to do the project management? It is only to ensure that customer gets what he wants and organization makes the profit, desired profit out of it. If that is the concern and that is the intent and purpose of the project management, then I would say that it will not take the organization very far, because it is neglecting the key factors which will actually bring about that success, which can ensure that repeatedly, time to time, year after year, the organization gets the benefit, same kind of benefit, even increased benefit out of each project delivery. So if we want that kind of intent and purpose, if we want to have that kind of intent, if we want to fulfill that kind of intent and purpose with the project management, then we need to look at the scope of the project management. We need to look at both macro and micro level for the scope. So macro level, we all know, yeah, macro level is that, yes, within the given time frame, within the given budget, the given delivery with given quality happens. that is the macro view. But the micro view should be that does everybody get the benefit out of it? So the one key question comes in front is that what is the individual player getting out of this project? Even if I can tell you that even if you have the best of the hands working on a project who are experts in some technology, if you keep on giving them repeatedly projects of the same with the same role, for the same technology, for the same skill set and all, it is going to be boring for them eventually. And because eventually they will also start thinking that their professional growth is getting stunted. They are not really able to gain much out of it. Initial project, they may learn something more, they may be able to sharpen their skills in given technology, given tool, but eventually that is not sufficient for them for their lifetime. So they are always looking for something new to pick up. And until we create that kind of environment, it will not fulfill the whole intent and purpose of the project management, that the organization keeps growing strength to strength, project after project. So stakeholders and their interest in project management have to be addressed properly. The stakeholders, the external stakeholders interest at present gets more emphasized and better addressed in the current practices, whereas the internal stakeholders, internal players interest is not so much. So then what are the prerequisites for project management? The prerequisites, I would say, are that we start looking at it from not only have an external view, not only have a customer perspective of the project, we should also have a team perspective of the project. We should also have a individual player's perspective of the project. That is only when we can really balance out the two and strike a semblance of having a balance and creating an environment where all stakeholders really feel that they are the stakeholders. They look forward to getting benefit out of it and therefore get fully interested in working on it. That is what I would call that whole project management ecosystem needs to be looked at. Not only the stakeholders, we also look at what kind of environment is being provided, what types of tools and technologies are being used, what type of methodology is being used, and what everybody gets out of it. And of late, if you look at it, Agile and Scrum model, particularly in Agile, has been successful towards most of these goals, because we find that all of those who have been really practicing this, they would have noticed that teams are really making commitments which they try to meet, they do, and they are always trying to do their best, excelling themselves sprint after sprint, and the results are much better than what any other methodology has given so far. Customer gets more best assurance out of it because customers continuously gets to see the progress, witness the progress of the project. The team gets the immediate feedback and therefore satisfaction out of whatever they do sprint after sprint. The deliveries are made in those small packets, story to story, that not only the customer is reassured, but the developer, the team also gets that reassurance that okay, whatever they have done, they have achieved a good milestone, unlike any other methodology where that milestone may or may not be visible to the customer. And like that, there are many other benefits. We can have a different time and occasion to discuss all those details, what are the benefits of all that. But anyway, the questions are the relevant. I was just trying to give an example that how this could really be fulfilled in some environment. So before coming to the next set, I would I have some questions, as it was mentioned earlier, that there will be questions for you to answer so that you can claim some prizes also based on that. Now I'm open for your question answer. I think I have really touched upon what I wanted to say. So please go ahead and shoot your questions.
The questions are already shared with you. Please have a look.
Okay, I'm just looking at it. I'll get, okay. Okay. Quiz question 1, quiz question 2. No, I don't see any questions here. These are only quiz questions that have been posted by the moderator. So any questions from any of the, or anyone from the audience?
Okay, so I would be reading out the questions, and we would request you to answer the questions.
Sure.
So this is a question asked by Nitin. What actions or steps can be taken to get over the thought of considering project team members as object or heads?
Sorry, could you repeat that again?
The question is, what actions or steps can be taken to get over the thought of considering project team members as object or heads, which will help team's perspective?
Okay, one thing that I purposely did not mention because I thought that is a common knowledge is that you see when projects are put together, the planning is done. Typically, capacities are estimated that okay, what are the capacities of the team available and what each team can do. Now, these kind of this is kind of first step where the members start getting considered as objects that okay, such and such machine is there, which will be churning out something at this speed, which is always not true. So the step towards that is that I mean again I'll give the example of a Scrum model where the team is presented with a list of tasks, list of stories, and the team commits that okay, this is what we can deliver in one sprint. So no more anybody is telling that okay, this is what is your capacity, this is what you need to do, this is the time given to you, this is the task you should be fulfilling this time. Nobody is treating them like objects. They themselves come together and discuss and decide that okay, these are the stories, these are the things that we can deliver in this time frame. So that is one way where the team is getting empowered, the individual is getting empowered and having a say about what can be delivered, what can be done.
Okay. So the next question is.
I now see the questions. Okay. Yeah, who will be taking responsibility for risk management in projects?
Fine.
Risk management, actually, if you look at the conventional landscape of the project management, there are now so many sections made out of it that, okay, somebody, and one of them is that, okay, risk management, somebody will be looking at documentation, somebody will be looking at integration, so there are so many compartments being made. More the compartments you make, more you are delineating people from the team spirit. People are starting, oh, this is not my job, this is such and such team's job. Some other team is supposed to be looking after this. Risk management is an integral part of any of the tasks within the project. Risk is not something which is coming from outside. It is because of the task being done there or not being done there. So risk management actually need not be treated separately. And again, I mean, if you look in Agile empowers the individuals, and where the individual is taking, or the team together is making the commitment, and they bear the risk also. So in case they are not able to achieve their commitment within the sprint, it falls upon them to fulfill that commitment and still make next commitment about it and ensure that eventually the whole commitment is met. So they may be falling behind in one or two sprints, but eventually they ensure that at the end of the certain sprint they are able to meet up all that. So risk management should not be treated as separately. If you are treating it separately, then it is the task of now this is something that I've been very strange if you look back at it. To me, it appears very strange now that I'm practicing Agile and Scrum. That, oh, I do something, but the risk to mitigate the risk of my activities is somebody else's responsibility. So that really does not really help much. So one has to think of embedding the risk in case you don't want to follow Agile or Scrum. Still, you need to embed that risk management in the team activity, whichever team is working on that functionality module or part of the project. Next question is, which project management methodology do you follow at Kronos and feel is better than others? Yeah, as I told you, we are all following Agile Scrum methodology. It is much better. We have been practicing this now for last 5 years, and we are extremely satisfied with that. We can match it with any other methodology and show you the results actually. In fact, I personally I'm getting involved with the team outside Kronos also. With a lot of professionals I've been interacting and imparting this knowledge and experience to them, and all of them so far come back and appreciate that yes, this has helped them. So the next question is, what measures could be taken for individuals to be benefited? Does this responsibility belong only to HR or only to project manager? See, what can HR do in project allocation, resource allocation? HR is not part of project management. HR is not directly involved in assigning people to any project. So when we are assigning people, when people are getting their tasks, can we give them some liberty in picking and choosing what they want to do? Until we do that, we will not be able to do anything for their benefit. That will be my point of view. That will be manager's point of view. That okay, now locate this guy to this activity, it will be good for him, or maybe. But how many he can? So Agile can actually give us lot of freedom there to the team, because their individuals are not identified. Their team is identified. Within the team, people have to do every task possible. The team put together has to behave as an individual and try to do everything that is required to make the delivery possible. So people get to play all kinds of roles. This is something like I have seen earlier, the difference between a very small company and a very large company. In a very small company, they are limited resources, so they get to play every kind of role depending upon the situation they are in. Whereas in a large company, typically all the activities are compartmentalized. Okay, this part is to be done by releasing, this part is to be done by testing, this part is done by development, this part is configuration management and things like that, which in a small company doesn't happen. So same way in the Scrum team, the team takes on everything upon itself and does that. In many cases, next question is, how do you identify the problem before the task starts? Problem before the task, I don't know exactly what you mean about the task starts and what problem you are talking about, but definitely, before you start the task, you look at it as a problem that you want to solve. You have to design something, you have to code something, you have to test something, that's the problem. So based on your past experience, you try to assess that. And this is another aspect of project management which is largely neglected in most of the organizations, is that the knowledge gained in one project is really not utilized repetitively for subsequent projects, repetitively for the similar activity, repetitively, and it doesn't get enriched. So knowledge and experience remains with individuals, it doesn't get really institutionalized. All those companies who are able to institutionalize, they do get benefit out of it. So, will social cost benefit analysis have a major say in IT projects in the future? Very good question. Social cost benefit analysis is not really the current practice, not to at least my knowledge in most of the organization, but social cost benefit analysis must be done by the industries. Until unless as an industry we become aware of it and we start thinking about it, eventually we are actually creating a void in the industry. Eventually we are restricting ourselves, eventually we are restraining our growth actually. Because until unless the social cost benefit is there, The individuals will not get the benefit, the society will not get the benefit. So how does industry survive without that? And so I'm very sure that yes, it is going to play a major role in future in IT projects. In many cases, the team is not yet finalized before the start of the project. How to ensure their involvement? That is where the problem lies. That is why I am saying that the scope of the project is so restricted today that nobody thinks beyond a certain constraint. And as I said, that project starts with the constraint of, okay, this is the timeline, this is the deliverable, and this is the cost or budget or headcount or whatever you call it. So we have to remove that. To remove that, the whole organizational view has to change towards the project management. It has to follow a different, what you call, a different thought process. It has to look into all those aspects. Only then it can do that. In a metric organization, the cost of the role of project manager is an individual contributor. Do you think it helps the PM to work effectively? Project manager is an individual contributor, but he needs to play the role of what should I say? I would use the term of integrator. He needs to bring around everybody's view to the table, put them, maybe confront with each other, and make them realize that this is their perspective has to match the perspective on the other side of the table. Like I said, one set of stakeholders is having a view of only delivering a project and making profit out of it. Other set of stakeholders in the project, their interest is totally neglected. As an individual team member, I don't know whether I'll get anything out of this project. What is the professional gain for me out of this project? I don't know. So that has to be matched. So that is the situation in matrix organization. The project manager will have to play that role going forward. Otherwise, he will be just doing a mechanical kind of activity. When you are doing project across geographies, how do you overcome cultural differences? Cultural differences, actually, if you look at it, I mean, we also had initially a lot of debate about that, but eventually we find that it is not just cultural difference. More than that, it is actually the acquaintance of people with each other that matters. People from totally different culture can come together and become friends. The same way, people from totally different culture can come together and work, collaborate in best possible manner. But to collaborate, they have to develop that confidence, that faith in each other. And for doing that, the best way is to make them work, make them interact face to face. Even if for a short time in the beginning, and eventually through whatever electronic means, video conferencing, telephonic calls, and things like that. But it helps a lot. How to manage a project when the change in requirements are dynamic or not phased? In fact, for this kind of situation, the best methodology is our Agile Scrum, because after every sprint, the team is ready to accept new set of stories. There could be total change in the set of stories remaining out of there. So it is more adaptable for the changing requirements. So I would always recommend that. There's one question mostly comes in present scenario. While handling more than one project, small or medium, at one time can divert team members' mind and they would not be able to concentrate on aspects of project like future requirements or enhancements of the projects or the proper utilization of resources, etc. What project methodology or system we should use to minimize the risk of failing tasks or projects while reworking. The impression that I'm getting, Gaurav, from your question is that the same team is working on multiple projects. Definitely that is not the way. The team has to concentrate on one project at a time. You can't expect the team to today work on this, a week after that again on a different project, and then come back to the same project. That will not really help. I would rather advise that you have a smaller team dedicated to two projects and let them be working independently and full time on each of the projects. Jahid Syed has asked, hi Mr. Ajay, which costing models do you use when you choose Agile project management methodology? Frankly speaking, I'll not be worried about costing models as such, because That will change from organization to organization. That will change depending upon your marketing philosophy, your sales techniques, and things like that. I would rather confine myself to the main theme of project management. Agile project management methodologies help me ensure that I utilize my resources, or my resources utilize themselves in the best possible manner, because that is that, and I'm able to see that by the speed, the velocity that they achieve from sprint to sprint. So I'm assured of that whatever model you use, I get best out of it. Next question is, what are the major challenges faced when projects are executed in India? I don't know. Are you talking about the projects which are outsourced projects for customers abroad, or are you talking about the projects that are native and for local customers? Because frankly speaking, challenges whether in India or abroad will remain the same. It is more in our mindset that we have no challenges. We have been working with cross-geography teams, as I mentioned, in different locations across the globe, and the challenges are more or less same. Challenges are more or less same, and challenges are more because of the approach, the thought process, and the importance attached to the individuals and the teams. The challenges are not because of the geography, the challenges are not because of the technology or anything. Future role or growth path of project coordinators or administrators according to PMI. The PMI, I'm not here presenting views of any of the institution or any of the methodology or any of the philosophy. But to me, the future role or growth path for project managers, project coordinators, project administrators is more like a coach to a sports team. They have to ensure how to bring out best from the team, and for that they just not only do with the monitoring control, they have to also participate at times, they have to rub shoulders, they have to understand the challenges, appreciate them, and empower them, work with them, and try to solve the problems. How is project management related to other initiatives like TPM and performance management? Project management is supposed to have these things embedded within. Project management should be capitalizing on TQM philosophy that an organization has. It should be capitalizing on the performance management system the organization has, and it should be complementary to that. Again, as I said in the beginning, most of the organization in traditional way, if you look at the project management really does not really bother much about that. As I said, it rarely happens that if the project is there, the contract is there, rarely any organization will sit down and look at it critically to decide what methodology, what technology, what tools to be used. The same way it is true about the philosophy, TQM philosophy, or performance management, or any other policy or framework within the organization, whether it is used or not. It is rather force-fitted later on that, okay, the project has been done, so what are the factors coming out of this project which will fit into my TQM, which will fit into my performance management, and things like that. How the project management will help when we get change on existing sprint during sprint overlapping. I think there's a typing mistake. Sprint overlapping. Sprint overlap doesn't happen actually. Sprint to sprint. I mean, if you mean to say that a story gets carried over to next sprint, there's a different scenario. Because sprint overlap doesn't happen. So project management actually look at the technology, the technique of project management being used there. The technique is that the team, knowing that what they have, what capacity they have, what strength they have, what weaknesses they have, the team put together decides that okay, this is what they can deliver. Now it is quite possible that they fail in that commitment in one of the sprints. Maybe because whatever reasons, they run into some roadblock, they run into some challenge which they could not foresee, and that's why the story doesn't get delivered in that sprint. So that story gets carried over to the next sprint. Now next sprint they already have this backlog on hand, so naturally the commitment for new items will be less. So because they know that there's capacity, so they will try to make up for this gap going forward from sprint to sprint by increasing they are stretching themselves a bit every time, and towards the end ensuring that they, after n number of sprints they are able to complete the whole project. So that's how it happens. Next question is, how can a trade-off between profits and costs in the perspective of SCB be achieved for an organization, especially since SCBA is a Q4 activity? You have posed the question typically, as I was all the time mentioning, that top management will have, or maybe the finance guy will have, or somebody who is really looking at the bottom line will have. And I am, since beginning I am saying that I am totally opposed to that. I mean, you can't keep sitting watching, and at the fourth quarter then you suddenly come forward, okay, what have you done? What is the bottom line that we are achieving? You can't do anything by that time. Everything has already been done. So you need to be not only, that's why I was saying that top management involvement has to increase in the project management, otherwise it is not taking us anywhere. So top management should actually be sitting with the team from day one and ensuring that it is getting done. Top management will have to sensitize the team on day-to-day basis, and similarly the team will have to assure top management from day one, from time to time, that okay, everything is being done and will be achieved, the targets will be achieved. Okay, next question is, are you really think companies are using Agile? I don't think, because Agile put more pressure on developers to do more things in less time due to business interest. No, I don't agree with that. Agile is where team is being empowered to make commitment. It is possible that team, in its own zeal to achieve, in its own effort to achieve more, starts making commitment, which you put it under pressure. But there is no pressure as such on the team to take on more on its weight. If that is happening, then I think there is something wrong in that Agile implementation. We need to relook at that, how we are running that Agile. As I said, we have been practicing Agile now for the last 5 years. You can come and visit us. We can have face-to-face discussion. We can talk about different aspects and see that how it is being managed. I don't think anybody, you can talk to anybody, in fact, in my company, you can have chat with them on the net and try to find out what kind of environment we have. So it is not true that Agile puts more pressure on developers. And first of all, it is not just developers in the team. We have developers, we have QA guys, we have other people, other skilled people in the team, and teams are delivering. But the thing is that, yes, to not only you have to empower them, you have to give them proper guidance, coaching, so that they are able to achieve their commitment. They are able to make the right kind of commitment. They are able to achieve those commitments. So for that, we need to put in place systems and processes that help them, not only empower them, but we also help them facilitate that so that they can achieve this. So, any more questions? Okay, next question has come from Kiran Kumar Gusa. What is difference between project manager and Scrum Master? Oh, lot of difference there. Scrum Master is not a manager, first of all. Project manager or whatever manager is not a manager at all. A Scrum Master, in simple terms, is a friend, philosopher, and guide. A Scrum Master has no power, no authority upon the team or any of the team members. Whereas project manager typically will have authority, will have some kind of control over the team and the team members. Scrum Master doesn't have. Scrum Master is there purely as a friend, guide, philosopher. He keeps a constant eye on the team and keeps forewarning them, keep them on track, makes them aware that where they are faltering, whether they are making good progress or not, whether, and in case they are running into any problem, the Scrum Master tries to find out some ways and means to help them out of that situation. So Scrum Master and project managers are poles apart. No match between the two, don't even compare them. Next question is, most of the orgs today prefer PMP certified, but I would not totally agree on this evaluation criteria, as a lot depends on the individual experience in management project using project management methodology. What are your views on this? Well, my views are just like yours. PMP certification, like any other certification, is not a guarantee that a person will become a better project manager. It is as good as saying that, okay, I have got a degree of engineering, so I am a good engineer. I may not be. Academically, I might have done it. And I mean, nothing against PMP certification, but PMP certification, after all, even though it has certain practical aspects included in that, it cannot really expose you to all the kind of scenarios and possibilities that you come across in real life. And in fact, the whole shift from in the project management philosophy, in the project management style is changing now. So PMP itself is now going to Agile and Scrum Master certification. So the shift is already there. So PMP certification, I mean, I will not take the face of it as the guarantee for good project management or whatever. Also, I know that certain organizations have made it compulsory that until as people get PMP certified, they will not get certain level, certain promotion, certain bonus, and things like that. So it is becoming more of a kind of a thing to somehow achieve it and then rest upon it. I would any day prefer anybody who has really done hands-on project management for the last 3 to 5 years rather than just having a PMP certification. Okay, any other questions? Yeah. Next question has come. What is future of PMs measured into functional, as economic slowdown gives priority to architects, technical people rather than delivery people? Project management as an activity is essential for any kind of work that is done. So how do you do it? Only thing is that, I mean, it is not necessary that a person who is designated project manager does it. It is not necessary that a person who has got some kind of certification does it. But somebody has to do it. So now it is up to us project managers that how do we achieve that? And that is why I have stressed in my talk that we need to be alive to the actual requirement. We need to be alive to what value addition as a project manager we can do to the whole organization, to the whole management process, to the teams, to the whole activity. If we are not alive to that and we don't do we don't take steps to consciously contribute to that value addition, definitely we will be extinct very soon. So whether the economy does well or not, so long as the industry is there, project management in one form or the other will be required, and people will be doing it, whether they do it with certification, without certification, with one methodology or the other methodology, but somebody has to fulfill that role. Okay, any more questions? Yeah, do you feel Prince2 project management methodology will impact Asian IT and ITS industry in future? Well, frankly speaking, I would say no, because any methodology, I'm not saying that everybody should go Agile and Scrum way, but any methodology will have to be evaluated by different organizations for different projects eventually going forward to get best out of it. So it is quite possible that one organization finds Prince2, another organization finds some other methodology good for it, and derives maximum benefit out of it. Because eventually all these methodologies are like tools. I may be adapted in one tool, you may be adapted in another tool. So depending on which tool we are adapted, we'll try using that. But making use of tool is one thing, and achieving the desired results is another thing. So the achievement of those desired results, the end goal remains the same. Eventually, as I said, we have to do some value additions to the whole process, to the whole organization, and in turn get the benefits for the management, for the individuals, for the organization, for the customer, and everybody. So it becomes immaterial whether it is Prince2 or any other methodology. Whether it will impact Asian IT or not, that depends, I mean, where we are looking for the market and all. So Prince2 is not universally accepted or being used by everybody. So as I said, most of the time, as of now, customers are dictating that, okay, this is the methodology we would want you to use. So maybe, I mean, if your customers are mainly using Prince2, you may have to develop your expertise in that. What is your say on project management courses taught in business schools? Business schools teaching project management course is a good trend. I appreciate that they have included this in their curriculum, because this at least makes them aware of such a requirement, and I have not really gone through the content of those courses, but I hope that they are creating the kind of awareness which I am trying to communicate through this presentation to all of you, because that is the requirement of the industry today, as I feel. Until unless we are alive to that, we will be at loss. So it is good that if the students at that early stage are able to understand and appreciate these nuances, because that will be ultimately benefit the industry. Okay, any more questions?
That's it. We have these questions only. So
okay. So in case there are no more questions, I thank everybody for your time and attention to my talk. I hope I could fulfill your expectations. In case you have any questions, any queries, even in future, you can always contact me at my email address, rawat.as@gmail.com. It will be a great pleasure for me to interact with you, and I'm always there to answer your questions. I also would like to thank TechGeek for giving me this opportunity, and I have been thoroughly enjoying this. This is the second time I'm talking about project management. I look forward to many more sessions on different topics, and where I can share my experience with all the industry professionals and everybody. Thank you so much once again.
Thanks, Mr. Rawat, for your informative session on trends in project management and its future. It was indeed an enlightening session. I would also like to thank our participants for their support in making this webinar a huge success. We regret that due to huge response for this session, we couldn't allow everyone to join the session today. Please join our next webinar sessions 10 to 15 minutes in advance to avoid last-minute rush. The recording of this webinar would be available on techgeek.com by tomorrow. The next session in the Software Project Management webinar series is happening tomorrow on 8th of December at 3 p.m. Topic: Prince versus PMP. Are you in a dilemma? Speaker: Ms. Sonia Agarwal, Head of PMO at ST Microelectronics. So see you all tomorrow at 3 p.m. Have a nice day. Thank you.